My name is Vanessa Reed. I'm 35 years old. And this is the story of how I discovered the betrayal of a lifetime, and taught the two people who destroyed my world a lesson they'll never forget. It started on a rainy Thursday afternoon in Minneapolis. My husband Ethan had just returned from what he called a strategic consulting trip to Denver. He walked in like he always did, coat half-drenched, tie loosened just enough to look exhausted but successful. He dropped his suitcase by the door, hung up his coat with a sigh, and turned to kiss me on the forehead. I almost believed it. Until something slipped from the inside pocket of that very coat and hit the floor. It was a photo. A Polaroid. I shouldn't have looked. I should have picked it up, handed it to him without a second thought, like I'd done with so many little things over the past few years. Like I always did when something in my gut told me something wasn't right, but I told myself I was overthinking. But that day? I bent down and picked it up. And everything changed. It wasn't a family picture. Not our son's little league game, not some silly candid of Ethan and me on vacation. No. This one burned. Two bodies. Ethan's unmistakable frame, lean, broad-shouldered, the same scar on his left collarbone from a bike accident in college, entwined with a woman whose face was mostly hidden by long, wavy hair. The room was softly lit, cozy. Intimate. My hand trembled as I turned the photo over again, just to make sure I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't. The hand gripping Ethan's shoulder wore a familiar bracelet, silver links with a pale green charm. I had seen that bracelet before. I heard Ethan's voice from the kitchen. "Did you order the Chinese yet? I'm starving." I slipped the photo into the pocket of my cardigan like it was contraband. "Dada," I called out calmly. "Just did. You still want the spicy tofu?" He chuckled. "Always." Then he walked in and kissed me like everything was normal. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay next to him, the man I thought I knew. The man I had loved for 11 years. I stared at the ceiling, the photo pressed between my fingers under the covers, trying not to cry, trying not to scream. And not because I didn't want to wake him. But because I didn't want him to know I knew. Not yet. In the days that followed, I became a ghost of myself. On the surface, I did everything I was supposed to, drove our son to school, made dinner, helped Ethan with his dry cleaning, kissed him goodnight. But inside? Inside, I was unraveling everything. I watched him. I listened. I noticed things I hadn't before, like how he always placed his phone face down. Or how he wore a new cologne I never bought. Something woodsy, mixed with citrus and lies. I noticed how he suddenly had meetings that ran late. How he smiled more when he thought I wasn't looking. Smiles not meant for me. One evening, I waited until he stepped into the shower. I turned his phone over on the counter. It was unlocked. Ethan was careless like that, always assuming no one would dare question him. The first text was from JM. Just 3 words, "Coming over tonight?" My pulse surged. Who was JM? I scrolled up. Missed you. I couldn't sleep last night. The dress you liked? I wore it for you. Is she suspicious yet? The more I read, the less oxygen I felt in my lungs. This wasn't just some stupid one-night fling. This was intimacy. Conversations. Secrets. A relationship. The kind you don't build in a weekend hotel room. The next day, I searched his car. I knew Ethan. He thought he was clever, but he had patterns. He kept things close, but not too close. In the glove compartment, beneath a stack of napkins and an old phone charger, I found it. The second phone. An older model, scratched at the corners. Still on. Still unlocked. Like a smoking gun left in a child's toy chest. This time, the messages weren't from JM. They were from Jay. And this time, there were photos. Videos. Voice notes. In one clip, a woman laughed. She has no idea. It's almost too easy. I froze. That voice. I knew that voice. Not from work. Not from Ethan's job. From family. I ran to the basement. Pulled out an old keepsake box where I stored birthday cards, photos, thank you notes. My hands shook as I flipped through them until I landed on a card from last year. From my cousin, Jenna. I hadn't seen it in months. She had written, "Dear Vanessa, I hope you know how much I admire you. You're strong, beautiful, and you've always been the one I looked up to. Love always, J. J. The bracelet. The hair. The voice. No. It couldn't be. But it was. Jenna. My cousin. My own blood. The girl I let sleep on my couch for 6 months when she first moved to the city. The woman I cooked for, laughed with, defended when others doubted her. The one I cried with when her boyfriend ghosted her on her 30th birthday. She used to call me her safe place. And now? She was the mistress. The woman wrapped around my husband in that photo. My skin turned to ice. I didn't say a word. Not to Ethan. Not to Jenna. Not yet. But in that moment, I changed. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I became still. Focused. Methodical. Because if betrayal had a sound, it wasn't a scream, it was silence. And I was ready to make mine heard. I didn't know it at the time, but the moment I realized Jenna was the mistress was the exact moment I stopped being a victim. I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet. All I knew was that I needed proof. Not because I planned on a dramatic confrontation, not yet. No, I wanted every detail, every lie cataloged and preserved. If I was going to burn this down, I was going to do it right. That night, I sat in my reading room with a notebook open and my laptop next to me. I labeled the first page, Operation Clean Sweep. It started with the obvious, screenshotting messages from Ethan's second phone. I transferred the entire gallery and message history onto my external drive, encrypted it, and renamed the folder Receipts. I wasn't about to play messy games. This wasn't about rage anymore. It was about strategy. Over the next several days, I continued the act. I smiled at Ethan. I packed his lunch. I offered to take our son to piano lessons to give him more space. He thanked me with a tired smile like I was the best wife in the world. I could have spit in his face, but I didn't. Because I knew something he didn't. I knew everything. I even played nice with Jenna. She messaged me on Tuesday. "Hey love. Just wanted to say I miss you. Let's get coffee soon. XO, J. J." The audacity made my throat tighten, but I kept calm. I responded. "Sounds perfect. Let me know what day works. I've missed you too. Lies for lies." I saved the screenshot and added it to the folder. By week 2, I had hired Amanda. Amanda was someone I found through a secure network of women who had faced betrayal and needed help getting justice, not revenge, justice. She wasn't flashy, and she didn't promise miracles. She just said, "I get results." And she did. Within days, Amanda sent me photos of Ethan and Jenna meeting at a quiet apartment complex in the St. Paul area. It was a short-term rental under the name J.M. Campbell. Jenna Marie Campbell. He was paying the rent with a secondary corporate card from his consulting business. If I wanted to, I could have blown it all up right then and there. But that wasn't enough. Not for what they did to me. I didn't just want to expose them. I wanted to make them realize who they had underestimated. I started digging into Jenna's professional background. She had always claimed she worked part-time at a local nonprofit and freelanced on the side. But her resume didn't check out. She wasn't listed on their staff directory. Her LinkedIn page was vague. And Amanda confirmed what I suspected: Jenna was being paid by Ethan. A monthly stipend labeled media consultation fee. There was no contract, no real job. Just hush money. When I read through one of the messages between them on the second phone, it nearly made me vomit. She's too busy with her career and that perfect mom act. You make me feel alive, Jenna. You always have. She replied. You were never meant for her. She just kept you stuck. With me, you're free. It wasn't just betrayal. It was invasion. She had infiltrated my home, my trust, my marriage. And Ethan, he had fed her every intimate detail of my life like it was small talk. What time I dropped off our son, when I was out with friends, even the scent of my shampoo. Like I was just some irrelevant background character in their love story. I recorded everything. Even set up a hidden camera in Ethan's car using an old dashcam I'd had sitting in the garage for months. I installed it while he was sleeping one night, and within 3 days, I had footage of Jenna climbing into his passenger seat, reaching over to kiss him like she owned the place. Like she owned him. In one video, she giggled and said, "She'll never suspect a thing. She trusts me too much." The cruel irony? She was right. I had trusted her. Loved her like a sister. Defended her when family criticized her job hopping and failed relationships. I had believed in her when no one else did. And now she was using everything she learned about me to rip my world apart. But I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to rebuild. Stronger. Smarter. And they wouldn't even see it coming. I met with Amanda in person one rainy afternoon at a quiet diner on University Avenue. She slid a flash drive across the table and said, "It's all here. Photos, voice notes, transcripts, location pings, even the lease agreements." I paid her double her fee on the spot. Not just for the work, but for giving me the tools I needed to take back my life. The last file Amanda gave me was an audio clip from Jenna's phone. She had recorded a conversation with Ethan. "Leah's going to find out sooner or later," Ethan had said. "So what?" Jenna replied. "She's weak. She'll cry, maybe yell, but she won't leave. She needs you." My hand clenched around the steering wheel as I listened to it in the car, parked outside my son's school. No. I didn't need Ethan. I never had. I just thought I did. Because I gave up everything to make him feel whole. Now? It was time I made myself whole again. Back at home, I opened a private legal file I had once kept locked away on my hard drive, divorce prep. I was a former legal assistant before I stepped away to raise our son and help Ethan build his company. But I never forgot how to read between the lines. How to draft airtight contracts. How to sink someone without saying a word. I started drafting the papers. Quietly. Methodically. I even included a formal complaint to his company's ethics committee for misuse of corporate funds, because yes, paying for your affair through a consulting firm violates more than just wedding vows. By week 3, I had everything. The photos. The bank statements. The car footage. The messages. The voice notes. The fake work payments. The gallery contract Ethan had forced through by using leverage over one of his clients to get Jenna an exhibit she didn't deserve. I backed up everything twice. One copy in the cloud. One on a physical drive I dropped off at my mother's house without explanation. Just in case. Then I waited. I didn't lash out. I didn't scream. I smiled. Because I had already chosen my stage. And the curtain was about to rise. The perfect opportunity came wrapped in gold foil invitations and smug assumptions. Ethan was being promoted to regional director, and Jenna, bless her eager, delusional heart, was being celebrated for her upcoming breakout gallery show, which, unknown to her, was already falling apart behind the scenes. I had quietly sent a portfolio of her plagiarized work and shady funding source, Ethan's misused company card, to the gallery's ethics board, alongside Amanda's 23-page report. They responded with a terse email, "Thank you for your submission. An immediate internal review has begun. Please keep this confidential." Of course. I always kept things tidy. With both honorees basking in their imagined glory, I organized a dinner. A celebratory evening just for family and close friends. I sent out formal invites, my parents, Ethan's parents, my brother and his wife, my son's godparents, and yes, Jenna. The theme was a toast to new chapters. A lie wrapped in crystalware and home-cooked charm. I made it look perfect. The house gleamed. Candles flickered softly along the dining table. I played gentle jazz in the background and made sure the lasagna, my mom's favorite, was hot out of the oven when guests arrived. I even wore the beige knit dress Jenna once called elegant but forgettable. Fitting. I greeted everyone at the door with a smile that could cut glass. Jenna arrived 15 minutes late, of course. She swept in like a bride walking down the aisle, cream dress, loosely curled hair, cradling a box of matcha mousse cake like she had baked it herself. She hadn't. "I'm so sorry, traffic was just awful," she said breathlessly. "But I couldn't miss this special night for anything." She gave Ethan a subtle glance, which he returned. Polished. Rehearsed. Too clean. Like two actors on a stage who thought the audience didn't know the ending. Dinner began. Everyone laughed. We toasted. Even Ethan's dad, who usually grumbled about modern art, made a kind comment about Jenna's gallery debut. I let them have it. All of it. Then, as plates were being cleared and wine was topped off, I stood from my chair and tapped my glass gently. "Everyone," I said, smiling. "Before dessert, I just want to say thank you for being here. It means so much to celebrate Ethan's big promotion and Jenna's artistic success. But more than that, it's a moment for reflection." I turned to the wall behind the head of the table and clicked a button on the mini remote hidden in my pocket. The wall lit up, the soft white light from the mounted projector casting its glow across a flat canvas. The first image was from our wedding, me and Ethan, arms around each other, pure joy in our faces. Then photos of family holidays. Our son's 2nd birthday. The 4th of July cookout. Warm memories. Then it shifted. A photo of Ethan and Jenna, holding hands outside the St. Paul apartment. Another, inside the car, Jenna leaning in, her face in full view this time. And then, the video. The one from the dashcam, where she laughed and said, "She'll never suspect a thing." The silence at that table was a living thing. Thick. Absolute. Jenna's fork fell to the plate with a sharp clink. "Leah," she began. I held up a hand. Calm. Measured. Not done. The next slide was an email Ethan had sent to the gallery director, instructing them to push through Jenna's show in exchange for an expanded contract with his firm. Then a screenshot of the wire transfer to the gallery labeled consultation fee. I turned to the room, my voice never shaking. Jenna never worked for that nonprofit. Ethan never went on that Denver trip alone. And those funds? They weren't his. Ethan stood suddenly, like the ground had shifted under him. "Are you insane? You destroyed it first," I said simply. "I'm just cleaning up." I pulled 2 envelopes from the buffet table drawer. One I handed to Ethan. Divorce papers. Signed. No criminal charges if you sign within 7 days. The second envelope went to Jenna. This removes you from the family trust. It includes repayment for the $42,000 Ethan funneled to you over 3 years. With interest. Sign it and I won't release the audio clip where you call me a clueless idiot blinded by love. No one moved. My father's hands gripped the edge of the table. My mother had her fingers pressed to her mouth. Jenna looked like she'd been slapped by the moon. "You think you know me?" I said, locking eyes with her. "You have no idea how many contracts I've drafted. How many clauses I've enforced. You thought being silent meant I was weak. But you forgot. I'm the one who taught you how to negotiate." I stepped back. "Ethan, Jenna. I don't need an apology. I just need you out of my life." The silence cracked like glass. My father spoke first. Quiet, but full of stone. "Get out. Now." Jenna stood. She clutched her purse like it might shield her from the shame. No one defended her. No one stood. Even Ethan's parents just looked down at their plates, refusing to meet his eyes. He looked at me one last time, mouth open slightly, no excuse forming fast enough. And just like that, the curtain closed. They left without a word. I didn't cry. I just took a deep breath and poured myself a glass of wine. The next morning, the house was still. My son was staying the weekend with my brother's family, something I had arranged in advance with vague talk of needing time to plan the promotion party. Now the silence felt sacred. No Ethan. No lies. Just me, a kitchen filled with untouched leftovers, and sunlight creeping over the edge of the windowsill. I picked up the lavender cookies Jenna had brought, walked to the trash can, and dropped them in without opening the box. Then I made myself breakfast. Toast. Avocado. Black coffee. The ritual felt foreign and familiar at once, like putting on an old coat you forgot was yours. A few hours later, Ethan's lawyer emailed. He had accepted all the terms. No fight. No questions. No custody demands. He didn't even mention our son. That hurt more than I expected. Even when betrayal is complete, there's something jarring about watching someone let go of a family like it's just paperwork. But I didn't dwell. I had anticipated this. His company, meanwhile, issued a quiet internal memo, position suspended pending ethics review. Temporary reassignment to Seattle. Translation: they were pushing him out without saying it outright. They knew. Everyone knew. I didn't have to scream to ruin them. Just facts. Cold, undeniable evidence. Silent power. Jenna disappeared almost overnight. Her exhibit was cancelled before it opened. Harlan and York issued a public statement about internal discrepancies. Art blogs picked it up. Her name trended for 2 days, then vanished into digital dust. My mom told me later that Jenna had moved to Chicago to stay with an old friend. Someone spotted her working part-time at a small bookstore in Wicker Park. She kept her head down. No more selfies. No gallery teasers. Just a ghost in someone else's city. Good. I didn't want vengeance. I wanted distance. My family never looked at her the same. My father, the most stoic man I've ever known, didn't say much, but when he came over a week after the dinner and saw me sipping tea on the balcony, he quietly handed me a small potted lavender plant. "I saw you grow a lot of this out here," he said. "This one's French. Let's see if it fits in." That was his way of saying, "I'm proud of you." I placed the pot near the bench where I had sat night after night in silence, planning everything. It felt like an offering to the new version of myself. The final divorce paperwork came through in 3 weeks. I sold the old house not long after. Even though I owned it, even though my name was on every paper, its walls had seen too much. Too many lies, too many nights of pretending. I bought a penthouse on the west side of Minneapolis. Top floor. Quiet. With a wide balcony and enough sunlight to grow herbs. The first thing I did was repaint the living room olive green. Ethan used to say it was too moody. I wanted moody. I wanted whatever I wanted. I pulled old art from the garage, abstract canvases Jenna once said made her dizzy. I hung them all. I lined the kitchen shelves with cookbooks I never used but always loved. And every morning, I brewed coffee at 6:30, just for me. Not because someone else needed it. Because I liked the smell. I returned to full-time work at the firm. The managing partner called it long overdue. Within 2 months, I was promoted to Regional Deputy Legal Director, a title Ethan once said was probably too much for you. Now it was mine. I didn't post about it. I didn't need the world to clap. I just let myself exhale, finally, like the air around me wasn't made of glass anymore. Friends started reaching out again. People I hadn't heard from in months. They weren't asking for gossip, they were checking in. Quiet support. Real people. Even Ethan's younger sister, who'd always been distant with me, sent a message. Leah. I knew he was a jerk, but Jenna? I'm so sorry. I didn't reply. But I smiled. Because I didn't need revenge anymore. I had something better. Clarity. And for the first time in years, I realized. I liked myself. Not the wife. Not the fixer. Not the one who absorbed everyone else's messes. Just Vanessa. The woman who walked out of a fire, not burned, but brighter. 3 weeks after the dinner that shattered everything, I received an email from a local blog called The Real Echo. They'd gotten wind of the gallery scandal, Jenna's fake credentials, Ethan's misuse of corporate funds, the suspicious emails I had leaked anonymously through Amanda. They titled their article, "The Mistress, the Money, and the Mistake, How One Woman Burned Her Own House Down." It wasn't about me directly, at least, not by name. But people knew. Mutuals started whispering. Some even reached out to say, whoever exposed them, legend. I never claimed the credit. I didn't need the spotlight. Just the peace. Ethan's company moved him quietly to a satellite office in Seattle. No ceremony. No goodbye party. Just an internal transfer that reeked of shame. Amanda later informed me they were waiting out the ethics probe to avoid a lawsuit. He had no leverage. No one came to his defense. He tried once, just once, to call. A restricted number, around midnight. I didn't answer. I let it ring out like a ghost trying to claw its way back into the living. He never called again. Jenna, from what Amanda gathered, had taken up residence in a small apartment over a bookstore. She occasionally taught beginner art classes to bored suburban moms. No gallery offers. No exhibits. Just chalkboards and charcoal. One of her old friends messaged me unexpectedly. I don't know what happened between you two. But she left a letter before she moved again. Said she was sorry. Said she wanted to start over somewhere no one knew her. I didn't reply. Forgiveness is a powerful thing. But so is walking away without offering it. My mother never pressured me. She never once said you should talk to Jenna or family is family. She saw the look in my eyes that night, the look of someone who'd buried a sister and a stranger at the same time. Some cracks don't need sealing. They just need to be left alone. I rebuilt quietly. I changed my number. Kept my address off the public registry. My son adjusted quickly to the new apartment. He didn't ask about Ethan much. Kids know when something's broken, they just don't always have the words for it. One day he asked, "Mom, why doesn't Dad live with us anymore?" I looked him in the eyes and said, "Because some people make choices that don't fit our family anymore. But I'll always be here. And that won't change." He nodded. Thoughtful. Like he understood more than he should. The day he stopped calling Ethan Dida was the day I realized I wasn't the only one who had felt the betrayal. It had splintered into him too. I promised myself I'd raise him without bitterness. That he'd grow up watching his mother rise with dignity, not vengeance. But I also promised him honesty. That our home would be the kind of place where lies couldn't survive. That became our foundation. In the months that followed, I started new routines. Saturday morning runs along the river. Sunday brunch with old friends I used to cancel on. Quiet dinners. Candlelit reading time. Soft jazz on the balcony. And every time I felt a flicker of doubt, every time I remembered the way Jenna laughed in that video, or how Ethan's voice sounded in those messages, I reminded myself. You didn't lose them. They lost you. One night, curled on my couch with a blanket and a glass of wine, I found the wedding photo again. I stared at it. At the girl smiling so brightly, so sure of her future. I didn't cry. I just whispered, "Thank you." Because that girl had walked me to the edge of ruin. And the woman I had become? She walked me out of it. Life didn't go back to normal. It built something new, something mine. A year ago, I couldn't imagine a day without watching Ethan's car pull into the driveway or texting Jenna a stupid meme. Now, I wake to the sound of my own breath, my own peace, not someone else's schedule or apology. I never rushed into dating again. People asked. Some even pushed, "You need to get back out there." But what they didn't realize is, I wasn't trying to replace anything. I was learning how to love myself again. Loving yourself isn't bubble baths and wine glasses. It's sitting in silence with the ache and saying, "You're real, but you don't control me." It's remembering that being alone doesn't mean being empty, it means being free. One Friday night, I invited a few close friends over. We made pizza from scratch, like I used to with Jenna before she became a stranger in my life. We played records, laughed until we cried, and swapped ridiculous stories about our workplaces. After we finished the last slice, my friend Trisha leaned over and said, "Vanessa, you've changed. You're not the older sister in the group anymore. You used to carry all of us. Now you walk beside us." I smiled, not because she was right, but because I finally believed her. Later that night, I stood on the balcony, a warm cup of mint tea in hand. Below me, yellow leaves danced in the streetlights. I could hear a little girl somewhere down the block chasing a bouncing ball, her giggle floating up like hope. I closed my eyes. A year ago, that same silence would have crushed me. Today, it was holy. Ethan's name stopped coming up. No one asked. No one wondered. Even his own family stepped back. His sister, who once never spoke more than 5 words to me at Christmas, sent a birthday card to my son. "I'm proud of your mom," she wrote at the bottom. "She's a warrior." I didn't reply. But I framed the card and tucked it into a drawer, because it mattered. Jenna became a ghost. No one knew where she moved next. Chicago was just a pit stop. Amanda sent me a final report, subject left the city. No forwarding address. No new records. Good. Let her vanish. Let her start over. But let her carry the truth in her bones every time she tries to be someone new. Let her remember who she hurt and who she underestimated. Let the silence haunt her, not out of cruelty, but as a lesson. Because some betrayals don't get closure. Some just get a locked door and no key. I thought about posting my story once. A blog, maybe. A podcast episode. Something anonymous. But then I realized, I didn't want sympathy or attention. I wanted something quieter. Deeper. Ownership. Of my story. My healing. My name. I didn't want to be the woman who was cheated on. I wanted to be the woman who chose herself after the fire. So I took one final step. I changed my last name. Not legally. Not yet. But I began signing emails as Vanessa Claire. Claire was my grandmother's name, the woman who taught me to sew, to plant mint, to never let a man's opinion define your horizon. It felt like returning home. The law firm supported me. My team respected me. Clients followed me. Everything Ethan said would be too much for me was exactly what I grew into. I still had fragile days. Days where I saw a commercial with a smiling couple and felt something sharp twist in my chest. Days where I stumbled on a box of old Christmas ornaments labeled the reeds in dusty cursive. But I didn't break. I just paused. Breathed. Let the ache pass through me like a wave, and waited until I reached the shore again. I didn't need to erase my past. I just stopped letting it write my future. It's been a year and some change since the night I pressed that projector remote and tore the curtain down on a show they thought I'd never see. Sometimes, when I sip tea on my balcony and the wind slips through the lavender pots, I think about who I used to be. Vanessa Reed. Wife. Mother. Dutiful. Predictable. Tolerant. Then I think about who I am now. Vanessa Claire. Whole. Clear-eyed. Respected. And most of all, free. I didn't find closure through revenge. I didn't scream or set fire to their lives in the way most people expect from a woman scorned. I found closure through control, by reclaiming my dignity in a way they couldn't touch. Because silence doesn't mean surrender. Silence, when chosen, is power. Ethan never recovered professionally. The ethics committee released a report that painted him as reckless with financial oversight and prone to conflicts of interest. He resigned voluntarily before they could terminate him. The company issued a bland farewell statement that didn't even include a photo. Jenna became a rumor. Every now and then someone from my extended family mentions hearing she's in the Northeast now. A town near Portland. Quiet. No one knows for sure. My son no longer asks about his father. But sometimes he says things like, "I like our new home better. You laugh more here." That's how I know I made the right choice. People still approach me with stories. Their own betrayals. Their own doubts. And they often ask, "Would you do it the same way again?" Yes. Because I didn't just end a marriage. I ended a pattern. A pattern of swallowing discomfort to keep someone else fed. A pattern of ignoring the gnawing feeling that something was wrong just to avoid confrontation. A pattern of shrinking. Now, I take up space. I eat alone in restaurants and smile when people stare. I wear the red lipstick Jenna once said was too much for daytime. I volunteer to mentor younger women in my firm, and I tell them, don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn to build shelter with your own hands. And still, people ask, do you hate them? I don't. Because hate is a tether. And I cut that cord the moment I chose myself. I don't wish Ethan pain. I wish him accountability. I don't wish Jenna shame. I wish her growth. But I'll never open the door to either of them again. That part of my life is not a chapter, it's another book entirely. And I've put it back on the shelf where it belongs. These days, I sleep with the windows open. I buy fresh mint instead of dried. I wear heels on Mondays because I want to. I wake up before my alarm because I'm excited to start the day, not anxious about the lies waiting for me. I am not rebuilding. I am new. And for anyone listening who's ever found themselves holding a truth so sharp it cuts the breath from your lungs, know this. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to fight to be powerful. Sometimes, you just need to rise. Walk away. And let the silence say everything. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just not needing them anymore. Thank you for listening to my story. Maybe parts of it felt familiar, maybe you've been the one betrayed, overlooked, or underestimated. But remember, the strongest revenge is not in destruction, it's in rebuilding something so whole, so untouchable, that no one can ever take it from you again. Real strength isn't in having the last word. It's in having the final piece. If this story moved you, please subscribe to Revenge Echoes for more true-to-life narratives about betrayal, resilience, and redemption. Leave a comment below, what would you have done in my shoes? And don't forget to share this story with someone who needs to hear it.